Bedwars. If you're involved in the Minecraft community, you've not only heard of, but probably played and watched a crap ton of those History of Bedwars videos. Which begs the question, what's the future for Bedwars? Hold up, before I do continue, if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe, as it'll mean a lot to me. Also, technically speaking, you should have a pretty good advantage by the end of this video. Enjoy! Before we dive into the deep end, let's start at the shallow end and let's recap Bedwars really quick. According to Google, Bedwars is the hot strategic PvP game where you must protect your bed while it's trying to eliminate your opponents on islands in the sky. I mean, for a definition, this is probably the best you can get, especially considering the game hasn't changed that dramatically since the beginning, which brings up a couple of new topics. The past and the present. Hold up, I know what you're thinking. I clicked here to watch the future. Please trust me, I want to say, hold on, it's about to get real. It all started in a prototype lobby. A new game called Bedwars was put in as one of the games. Hypixel themselves tells us that their prototype lobby is an area on the server where games in beta or alpha stages are tested. Along with that, if we look at this Google trend chart, we can see somewhere in 2017 it somewhat started blowing up, but nowhere near compared to nowadays, where it looks like to be April 15 or the April 5th, where it really started to pop off. When you compare Bedwars and Hypixel together in a Google trend, you can see that they both really start popping off around June 30ish. And coincidentally, June 23rd is the major release date of the 1.16 and the Nether update announced at Minecon Live 2019. For me personally, I'm just gonna put 2 and 2 together and say that 1.16 was the best thing that could have happened and was the start of something brand new. Now somewhere in the top right or left will pop up a card with the link of the article that I'm going to be deconstructing for the rest of this entire video. Before I start and get accused of taking credit, Talangi, I think is how you say the name, I might have butchered that, but this is the person that has written this entire article, and I can clearly see that they've put a lot of effort into it, and I've read all of it. But there's just a couple of things that I wanted to point out that I thought was pretty necessary. Let's start breaking this article down. On the Hypixel forum page, you can see that this article starts off with its introduction and goes on to prestiges, snipers, game modes, content, and ends off with their conclusion. Let's start with the introduction. Obviously, the main things about his first introduction paragraph is how he emphasizes how dull the game is and how it's not as fun as it used to be. Considering I've only been playing Bedwars since the beginning of February compared to this person who has joined in April 16, 2017. Like, can you imagine 3 years playing the same game and Hypixel just decides to put all their money and time into Skyblock? A good thing about this article is that it mentions the future and how to later improve it. And now for prestiges. Let's break this down into a couple of key points that he brings up, which I feel like is really strong. Him bringing up the past when he says that he remembers that those days where every lobby would be full as players watched the leaderboard as the #1 player gained a new prestige with full anticipation of the community being visible. For me, someone who's a newbie, I literally joined 2 months ago. I feel like this is some pretty important stuff to keep in mind because I personally couldn't really experience this, so just hearing about it and him bringing it up brings a pretty valid point. And when he mentions that prestige takes time, you're stuck for months at a time, I can really see how this can come across as dull, boring, and demotivating, just as he states. Also, one more thing that I wasn't too familiar about in the beginning, but now I can see that the high authority over at Hypixel made their own post saying how they were going to revamp the way prestiging worked. And to be disappointed and find out only 91 players are affected by this really came off the wrong way. Like, no disrespect to the high authority or anything, but yikes. Let's lighten up the mood really quick and talk about his next topic, which is snipers. I really love his terminology for it. Snipers are a person/group of people who will join your game on an alt account for the sole purpose of making you lose, generally with the help of blacklisted modifications or hacked clients. And if you're not aware, Bedwars is based off a huge win streak leaderboard. I'm gonna agree under his problems and solutions, urgent improvements to the anti-cheat would help a lot. He also credits Wapam for making his own thread of the snipers in Bedwars. Let's really quick answer some of these questions from the article. What if I'm a high star player and have a low star in my party? They will queue with you. You won't be separated but can join any other high star as long as there is someone in your party who meets the requirements to queue the higher stars. Wouldn't that make it easier to snipe? Yes and no. The players who queue with these ults will easily get banned for boosting, as this is easier to spot. Once their main account is banned for boosting, they'll have to buy accounts that have higher stats that will end up getting banned too due to cheating. And now for Gamemodes. One of the most interesting paragraphs in this article, as it brings up some pretty crazy ideas. And for this one, instead of agreeing with good points, I'm just gonna go ahead and disagree with some. The first thing to point out is when he says, Rush and Voidless honestly are fine how they are. And yes, I'm not blind. I do see where it says, in my own opinion. That's why I'm saying, in my own opinion, I'm just not too much of a fan of it.
Which leaves us with another problem. If you've ever played Minecraft Bedwars Ultimate Game Mode, you'd see that Swordman's is by far the best class. The absolute best strat is to stand on a bridge, wait for an opponent to come up for you, and just zoom off the edge. But then you warp back, and being the shell-shacked mimeman you are, the opponent probably has turned their backs on the spot you were at, or are staring off the edge in disbelief. 2 taps and they're doo-dooed on. As stated by Untoasted in the Hypixel forum. And for the next section, content. I think we can all agree without content, the game is doomed to fail. But obviously Bedwars isn't lacking content. Like this video. I love the way he puts it. What it lacks is the correct use of that content, because of now its potentials being nothing but being short of wasted. Which is pretty true considering the content from back then to now. Oh, and if you've made it this far into the video, make sure to comment pumpkin so I can know who my true ones are and I can 100% reply. And plus, it'll just leave other people confused, which I think is pretty funny. The rest of this article is the conclusion with its own opinions, which is gonna wrap up today's video. I'm Soza, you're my family, and take care.